Hello everybody, my name is Pixel and welcome back to another episode of Selene Apoptosis. Now if you remember where we left off last time, Selene has finally shown herself to Ethan and has all but threatened him with Hope, his wife. Let's see if Selene follows up on her promises. He approached the window slowly as if it was happening in a dream. The shards of Hope's cup crunched under his feet. Just like before, the window was closed. Ethan opened it and carefully looked down. He did not see the body, too good to be true, but he had to check. Only the gray pavement, which gradually turned black as it actually started raining. Ethan looked across the street just in time to notice the familiar cream-colored coat disappearing behind the corner of the nearby house. Oh, maybe she did see her? Hope! Hope! He screamed so loud that something snapped in his throat, but she didn't hear him. Or maybe she didn't want to hear him. Oh no. I didn't think that Hope actually saw Selene. I thought she was just bluffing. Ethan called her at least 100 times. Hope didn't answer. Ethan thought he could come to her office, but eventually decided it would only make things worse. The police were in his apartment 23 minutes, 40 seconds later. That's pretty damn accurate. They didn't find any signs of forced entry, and the call record, as Ethan found out later, had nothing that resembled laughter or howling. No extraneous sounds, as the officer said. So Selene was just in his imagination? She didn't get picked up on the phone call. And why is Hope just in this shock state? That's kind of odd. Is she actually there? Is Ethan just imagining? I think Ethan actually was imagining that, because it's talking about now she's returning. Hope returned sometime between late at night and early in the morning. Or did she see everything and then leave? The skin on her cheekbones was taut and almost transparent, and there were deep shadows under her eyes, as if she hadn't slept in a long time. She smelled of strong alcohol. Ethan went out of the dark room to her. He didn't sleep and didn't turn on the light either. Things that lurked in the dark, real or imagined, no longer frightened him. He even wished that something he had been dreading for the past month, he could finally name the feeling he had, would come out of the greasy blackness of the shadows and snap his neck. But everything in the apartment was mockingly calm, except for Ethan himself. Hope. Hope stared at him in silence, swaying a little. Instead of pupils, she had dark holes. I've been thinking a lot about what I would say to you if you came back. What I can say. Hope's face showed no emotion. It seemed like she didn't even blink. Anyway, I realized I can only tell the truth, no matter how crazy it sounds. If I try to cheat, it only gets worse, right? Ethan gave a short and nervous laugh. Anyway, Ethan had plenty of time to think about what he was going to say, but he still didn't know where to start. Some time ago, I don't remember exactly, I started seeing a girl. Who is she, Ethan? I don't know. Is it Sophie? Who? Sophie Wolf. Your student from that online course on... Hope made a vague gesture with her hand. Movies from the late Victorian era. Ethan didn't know why he said that, but Hope obediently repeated it in a flat voice. I remember you were really impressed with her. You always like smart girls. And this one was also beautiful. Hope, this isn't what you think. Think? Who says I think? Thinking's too painful. Wait, hold on. Ethan disappeared into the room and came back a few minutes later. The darkness of the hallway was diluted by the light of the screen. Hope covered her eyes with her hand, either from the brightness of the screen itself or because she didn't want to see whatever there was. What is it all about? Here, look. It's Sophie Wolf. On the screen, in fact, was the profile of Sophie Wolf, his student. On the photo, Sophie was squinting, either from the bright sun or because her curly red hair was getting in her eyes. A small brown-haired girl snuggled up to her with a shy smile. They're a nice couple. If I remember right, they had a wedding this year. Then, who is... I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. I just want her out of my life, but this bitch follows me. Well, she used to follow. But now I don't think. I don't think I'll ever see her again. Is it good or bad? Hope, please. If you want to leave, I'll understand. But if you're willing to give me a chance, I promise I'll do my best to mend it all. He couldn't really promise, but he was too eager for the nightmare, real or imagined, to finally end. No more weird stories. Please, Hope. I don't need anyone but you. If you can get... He couldn't finish because Hope kissed him. Her bag hit the floor with a thud. The rest of the night actually went fine. Well, even more than that, except for the fact they were too busy to get any sleep. Oh my god! Okay, that was unexpected. At least everything was going okay until the moment when, instead of Hope's face, just for a moment, Ethan saw... He couldn't tell her. He mumbled something about not feeling well and collapsed on his back, panting. He closed his eyes so that Hope wouldn't accidentally catch a glimpse of what he saw. Nothing happened. It wasn't real. It's fine, she understands, said Hope. What in the world was that face? That was weird. Ethan sat in front of his laptop, staring at the monitor. The concave muzzles of the Persian cat stared back at him. All that was required of Ethan, he had to call the cattery. A simple task, but Ethan hesitated. It was hard for him to get used to the idea of one of those pop-eyed creatures walking around their apartment. During the day, it will nap where it pleases, and at night, sneak into the kitchen to play with the shadows that move by themselves. And its eyes will turn into two saucers of black and green nacre, as if the light reaches them. Ancient people believed cats could walk between worlds and see spirits. Looking at Persians, Ethan hardly believed they could even breathe on their own. And yet, in this, Ethan Harrison from the 21st century agreed with the ancient people there was something sinister about them. In any case, he should call the cattery, for Hope's sake. For the sake of them both, since he had made the decision. Ethan had already picked up the phone and was about to proceed with the plan when he heard the key turn in the entrance door. Something about that wound him up. It was barely 5 o'clock in the evening, which was in any way very early for Hope to be back. If everything was fine, that is. Ethan closed his laptop and went out into the hallway. But can we go back to talking about the weird, hollow-eyed Hope that we saw? For a long time, he couldn't say a single word, and when he could speak again, he only managed one question. What have you done? Hope's smile faded, and for the first time in 4.5 or even 5 years they'd been a couple, Ethan was glad of it. Oh, she cut her hair. She cut her hair and she changed the color. In fact, there was nothing surprising about it. As with the new haircut and the new hair color, Hope looked unbearably, insanely similar to that creature at the window. Oh no, she's got Selene's hair. Hope's lips turned white, trembling. This didn't help, did it? Any of it. You can't love me even now, right? What are you talking about? Isn't it obvious? I see how you look at me. You're disgusted. You try your best to touch me as little as possible. And no matter what I do, no matter what I try, it doesn't help. Admit it. You never loved her. You didn't, right, Ethan? She was convenient, and that's about it. Shit makes the flowers grow. Your flowers grew so much, didn't they, Ethan? Didn't they? Ethan would never hit his wife. More than that, he would never hit a woman. But what spoke to him was neither his wife nor a woman. It was a nightmare incarnate that bared its long, sharp teeth and came to take away his right for a second chance. Or so Ethan thought at the time. The punch turned out somewhat... punch turned out somewhat pathetic. But you have to take into account that wife beating is not a fairground attraction. When you hit your wife properly, a mark does not fly up to the highlighted sign, a good one. Although this was only indirectly related to the early Renaissance, Ethan had expertise in the matter since his old man's fist used to itch often. If there was something like that, he would know. However, if any sign could light up at the moment, it would say something like, "You're scum, Ethan." No! He kept repeating that even after Hope stormed out the door in tears. Dang, what did you do, Ethan? You talk about not hitting your wife. Did you actually hit her? What is wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you? Oh, now it's nighttime. Oh, now it's darker. Ethan barely remembered the following few days. Something seemed to be happening. Some people called him. He himself called a lot. He called Hope. Hope wasn't answering the phone. He knew this would happen. Every time he dialed her number, he knew he'll end up listening to the voicemail signal. It became something of a ritual. He would wake up. Sometimes it was light outside, sometimes dark, but more often it was something gray he neither could nor would want to identify because of the drawn curtains. He'd call Hope. Hope wouldn't answer the phone. If you hit her, I don't blame her, Ethan. He would go to the kitchen and turn the water on. He'd watch the silvery, twisted stream break against the sink for a while. Eventually, he'd put a cup under the stream, fill it to the brim, drink, and then go back to sleep, or go to the bathroom. There we go. Back to the coach. It's too good to be true. All of this can't be real. Life can't crumble into pieces in an instant. Just collapse inwards like a wooden block tower. Ethan couldn't remember the name of that game. Once he and Hope went to sea. He and Hope. It's too bad. All of this can't be real. He didn't do anything. Could it be that he didn't do anything? No. He hit Hope. He hit her, and a red blot spread across her cheek. It was too dark to see, but Ethan knew how it goes. How could he do that? What happens now? What can happen now? These thoughts were like a bunch of needles he tried to swallow over and over. Sometimes he managed to briefly forget about them. Son of a bitch. Can't believe you did that. It would happen when he woke up in the gray timelessness, looked at the dirty white ceiling, and didn't remember who that Ethan Harrison was. But the pain would always come back. He had a bunch of needles in his throat, and no matter how much water he drank, he couldn't get rid of it. Well, yeah, you can't get rid of that taste, Ethan. Hope's father shook him up a bit. Not in a sense he could have done it, grabbing a hold of him, lifting off the ground. Hope's father was a tough man, and despite his age, he could have hit Ethan hard. Ethan was afraid of it, and at the same time, he wanted it to happen. That would have made everything easier. Maybe even fixed it all. Ethan was going over it in his head as he stared at the phone screen displaying a familiar number. He was awfully scared, yet he answered. It turned out Hope had asked her father to pack up for her. Mr. Murley's voice was flat, maybe even a bit uncertain. And worst of all, he wasn't angry. This plunged Ethan into despair. He couldn't get his redemption like this. However, the upcoming visit forced Ethan to gain his senses. It shoved him back into reality like a stream of people pushing one into the other, a crowded subway train. Yeah, man up, Ethan. Shouldn't have did it. He tidied up the place a bit. He shaved. He figured out what to say. Several times he rehearsed his speech in front of the mirror. And just before Mr. Merlees arrived, Ethan left the keys with the neighbors. Simply put, he fled. Like a coward. Of course, he warned Mr. Merlees beforehand with a message because he didn't have the heart to call. Ethan wanted Mr. Merlees to pick up what he had and to get out as soon as possible. Mr. Merlees wasn't going to help, that's for sure. He wasn't going to help, which meant he simply got between Ethan and his wife. Ethan was angry at Mr. Merlees like he was the source of all the trouble. Anger was boiling up inside of him, mixing with cheap coffee and turning into caustic acid. There was nothing rational about this feeling. Ethan had plenty of time to think about it, to weigh it, to examine it under a magnifying glass. He was sitting in a small cafe on a corner of the street until the streets got dark. He would have stayed there even longer if a waiter hadn't come to his table to tell the place was closing. Ethan nodded absently and asked for a moment to use the bathroom. Again, there was nothing rational about being angry at Mr. Merlees, and to be honest, it was pathetic. Just like hitting your wife and then running away not to face her father. And with that, I think we are going to call it there for today. I'm all out of time, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was quite the emotional episode. I can't believe Ethan would do that. I mean, did he think that that wasn't Hope because her hair was different? Because she cut her hair a little bit and changed the color to look like Selene? He probably thought that that was Selene. Selene got a hold of Hope somehow. But anyways, we are going to find out more about that in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, feel free to like the video. You want to see more of this? Follow along with the story. Get notified whenever episodes come out. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.